Oh, it's okay, little baby, don't cry.
This teenager named Luke was bullied at school by 3 bullies, but that day they did not know that he wasn't alone. Luke's brother, David, a recently retired Special Forces soldier, was in his vehicle as he came to pick up Luke from school. "Show me who did this," David said, his voice calm but deadly serious. Luke was scared of making things worse, but David wasn't asking. He was telling. Luke pointed out 3 guys who thought they owned the place. David stalked them. He silently followed them to a bar. The 3 bullies were sitting with their girlfriends, acting tough, drinking cheap beer. He called the bartender over and ordered a fireball cocktail with extra chili peppers, the kind of drink that burns your throat and makes your eyes water. Then he ordered cosmopolitans for each of the guys and shots for their girl. He placed the cosmopolitans in front of the 3 bullies with a smile. "What the hell is this?" one of them snarled. "Thought you might be thirsty," David said casually. "I don't want this trash," the bully spat. He threw the entire drink in David's face. Pink liquid dripped down David's cheeks. For 3 long seconds, nobody moved. David smiled, then picked up his fireball cocktail, the one packed with enough chili to make a grown man cry, and threw it right back in his face. It was a trap. The bully screamed. The chili peppers hit his eyes like acid. His friends jumped up to help him, but David was faster. One punch sent the second bully crashing into a table. The third one tried to swing at David, but the soldier caught his fist midair and twisted. Have you ever seen someone completely dominate a fight without breaking a sweat? That was David. He moved like violence was a language he spoke fluently. Each hit was precise, calculated, brutal. When he was done, all 3 bullies were on the ground, groaning in pain. Their girlfriends screamed. The bartender reached for his phone. David pulled out a thick stack of cash and tossed it on the bar. "For the damages," he said calmly. But here's the twist that changes everything. David wasn't actually Luke's brother. He was a stranger, and nobody in that bar, including Luke, had any idea what was really happening. 2 weeks earlier, tragedy had destroyed the Peterson family. Their oldest son, Caleb, died in combat overseas. The family was shattered. Spencer, the father, tried to hold everything together, but kept failing. Laura, the mother, cried every single day. Their daughter Anna threw herself into work to avoid feeling anything. And Luke, the youngest, became an easy target for bullies because he looked weak and sad all the time. Then one morning, a polite man showed up at their front door. He was tall, clean-cut, and spoke with a soft voice. When Laura answered, he knew her name before she said anything. That should have been the first red flag. But grief makes people trust too easily. Like the video and subscribe before you find out what happens next. Just a few people missed the twist. Don't be among. The man standing on the Peterson family's porch introduced himself as David Collins. He claimed he served with Caleb overseas. He said they were best friends. He said Caleb talked about his family every single day. Laura stood frozen in the doorway, not sure whether to slam it shut or invite him inside. He said Caleb's dying wish was for him to check on the family. That broke her. Laura invited him in immediately. She offered him anything he wanted. David sat politely on their couch and explained that he spent months in recovery after getting injured in the same battle that killed Caleb. He said he came straight to their house after being released. Then he said the words that made Laura completely fall apart. He told her he was holding Caleb when he died. He said Caleb's last words were about how much he loved his family. Laura excused herself and rushed to the bathroom. She locked the door and sobbed so hard her whole body shook. She pressed a towel against her mouth to muffle the sound. Meanwhile, David sat alone in the living room, with an expression that was impossible to read, like he was wearing a mask. When Laura came back, her eyes were red and swollen. David pulled out a photo from his pocket. It showed a group of soldiers in combat gear standing in front of a military vehicle. Caleb was right there in the middle, smiling. David pointed himself out in the corner of the photo. Laura grabbed it with trembling hands. She stared at her dead son's face. Every doubt she had about David vanished instantly. This man knew Caleb. This man was telling the truth, or so she thought. Laura believed him, but should she? Hit the like button if you think David was telling the truth, and keep watching to see why she might be dead wrong. David started apologizing for showing up unannounced. He said he should have called first. He stood up and moved toward the door like he was about to leave, but Laura stopped him. She insisted he stay. She told him her daughter Anna would want to meet him. David hesitated just long enough to seem humble. Then he agreed. When Anna came home from her waitressing job that evening, she found a strange man sitting at their dinner table. Laura introduced David as Caleb's best friend from the military. Anna shook his hand but didn't smile. Something about him felt off. She couldn't explain it. David mentioned he planned to stay at a cheap motel nearby. Laura immediately protested. She wouldn't hear of it. She insisted he stay in their home as long as he needed. She even offered him Caleb's old room. Anna's jaw tightened. The moment the door closed, David's expression changed completely. The friendly mask disappeared. His face became hard, empty, dangerous. He walked around the room slowly, examining every detail. Would you stay in a stranger's house if something felt this wrong? Drop a comment. Meanwhile, Luke was having the worst day of his life at school. The same three bullies cornered him in the hallway between classes. They shoved him into a locker, but he didn't have the guts to fight back. Laura came to pick him up after school. She asked how his day was. Luke lied and said it was fine. Great, even. He was good at lying by now. Back at the Peterson house, David was settling in. Spencer came home from work and immediately started arguing with Laura. His voice carried through the whole house. He was furious that she let a stranger move into their home without even asking him first. He said David could have PTSD. He said veterans sometimes came back from war with serious mental problems. He said it was dangerous and stupid. Laura fired back that David was Caleb's friend, that he was respectful and kind, that Spencer was being paranoid and cruel. Their voices got louder. Spencer's gut was screaming, "Danger." Have you ever had a gut feeling about a person that turned out to be right? Tell us about it in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the moment the Petersons find out the truth. Luke sat at the table doing homework and pretended not to hear them fighting. That's when David noticed the dark bruises on Luke's face. He asked what happened. Luke gave the same lie he told his mother. He said he got hit with a football during gym class. David didn't believe him for a second, but he didn't push it. Instead, he helped Luke with his math homework. He explained things in a way that actually made sense. He told Luke he was smart. Luke's face lit up. Nobody ever called him smart. David made him feel valued, like he mattered. And that's exactly how predators work. They find your weakness and make you trust them. When Anna got home later that evening, she walked past David without saying a word. She went straight to her room. But something strange happened over the next few hours. Spencer's attitude toward David completely changed. By the time night fell, the two men were sitting on the couch together, drinking beer and watching football. They talked like old friends. Spencer opened up about things he never told anyone. He complained about his job. He said his boss was an idiot. A younger guy with a college degree got promoted to regional manager even though Spencer had been there way longer. He said it wasn't fair. He said Laura kept nagging him about money and it was driving him crazy. David listened carefully to every word. He absorbed every detail like he was gathering intelligence. When Spencer asked about David's plans, David said he was thinking about going to Florida to work construction. Spencer immediately told him not to. He insisted David stay with them longer. He said they had plenty of room. By then, Spencer actually liked having David around. But when Spencer got up to grab another beer, David's face changed again. That cold, empty expression returned. Whatever was going on inside David's head, it was dark, violent, wrong. Over the next few days, David became part of the Peterson family. He helped Laura with groceries. He gave Spencer advice about work. He made everyone feel like he genuinely cared. But it was all performance, calculated manipulation, and nobody saw it coming except Anna, who watched him carefully from a distance. David's relationship with Anna was complicated. She didn't trust him. So when Laura forced Anna to take David with her to a Halloween party that weekend, Anna was furious. While getting ready for the party, Anna thought Luke was taking too long in the bathroom. She banged on the door and yelled at him to hurry up. But when the door opened, David W. shirtless, aider dripping down his chest from a shower. She was blown away by his size and started blushing. At the party, Anna's friend Kristen immediately noticed David. She asked who he was. Anna explained he was her dead brother's friend staying with them temporarily. Kristen's eyes lit up. She said he was gorgeous. Anna rolled her eyes and walked away to find her boyfriend Zeke. David noticed everything. He watched Anna disappear into a back room with Zeke. He made small talk with Kristen and her friends. Everyone liked him instantly. He was charming, funny, humble. Nobody suspected the monster hiding underneath. Then something happened that revealed another layer of David's capabilities. Kristen's ex-boyfriend Drew showed up drunk and angry. He grabbed Kristen's arm hard enough to leave marks. Kristen tried to pull away, but Drew tightened his grip. That's when David stepped in. David moved so fast nobody saw it coming. One punch to Drew's throat. He told him if he ever touched Kristen again, he'd regret it. Drew scrambled to his feet and ran. Impressed by what he had done, Kristen slept with David, unaware of his evil motive. Later in the party, he met a guy named Craig and asked him of how to get firearms. On the drive home, Anna vented about Zeke. She said he wasn't going anywhere in life. She said she felt stuck. David listened quietly. Then he said something that caught her completely off guard. He told her if he had a girl like her back home, he never would have gone to war. He said he would have stayed and built a life with her. Anna's heart skipped. She hated herself for it. When they got home, Anna went straight to her room. She put on headphones and started making a mix CD. What she didn't know was that while she was making that CD, David was sitting alone in Caleb's room. The lights were off. His face was emotionless, cold. He stared at the wall like a machine waiting for orders. Then Anna heard something that shattered her false sense of security. She was walking past Luke's room when she heard David's voice. He was on the phone, demanding a new face. He said someone was after him. He said he needed to disappear. He mentioned a name, Peter Boddington, a plastic surgeon. Anna's blood ran cold. Why would David need a plastic surgeon? Why would he need a new face? Who was after him? She grabbed her phone and called the military base where Caleb had been stationed. She asked to verify David Collins' service record. She gave them his full name and unit number. What Anna didn't know was that her phone call triggered an alarm somewhere far away. A private military contractor called KPG had been monitoring any inquiries about David Collins. The moment Anna's call came through, a man named Major Richard Carver got an alert. David wasn't just dangerous. He said David was a failed experiment, and he said they needed to neutralize him before he killed again. Anna's about to expose him, but she just triggered an alarm. Would she get the proof she needed, or was she already a target? Subscribe to the channel so you're the first to know who's hunting David. Seriously guys, your support mean a lot to me. The next day, David met up with Anna's friend Craig outside town. Craig dealt guns on the side. Nothing major, just handguns and rifles he bought legally and resold for profit. Craig brought his business partner along. He said he'd take everything. Craig and his partner grinned. This was turning into their biggest sale in months. But then David said something that made the air change. He told them he wasn't just buying the guns, he said he was going to kill them too. Before either of them could react, David pulled a handgun from his jacket and fired twice. Both men dropped instantly. Meanwhile, Anna was still trying to piece together the truth about David. The military base told her David Collins had died a week ago in a fire at a military hospital in Arizona. The officer said it was confirmed. Official records, death certificate, everything. Anna's hands shook. If David Collins was dead, then who was living in her house? Then her phone rang. It was Zeke. He told her Craig was dead. She drove to the restaurant where her friend Kristen worked. Back at the Peterson house, David and Luke sat on the porch carving pumpkins for Halloween. It should have been a normal family moment, but nothing about David was normal. He pulled out the kitchen knife Laura gave him and tried to cut through a pumpkin. The knife was too dull. David shook his head and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a Swiss Army knife. One clean slice, and the pumpkin split open. Luke's eyes went wide. He asked if David carried that knife everywhere. David said he did. Always. Then he told Luke something disturbing. He said if the bullies ever bothered him again, Luke should bring a knife to school. Luke laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. But David wasn't joking. He said if they took the knife away and beat Luke up, Luke should go to their houses at night and burn them down with their families inside. Luke stared at him, unsure how to respond. David handed him the Swiss Army knife as a gift. He told Luke to keep it, just in case. David's lesson for Luke was pure evil. Or was it a twisted form of protection? Did David feel any genuine connection to Luke? Let me know in the comments, and like the video if you have doubts how this will end. Subscribe now. At the restaurant, Anna told Kristen everything. The phone call to the military, the plastic surgeon, the fact that David Collins was supposed to be dead. Kristen's face went pale. She admitted she slept with David the night of the party. Anna didn't judge her. She just said they needed proof. Kristen suggested Anna get Luke to check the call history on David's phone, find out who he'd been talking to, get evidence, then go to the police. Anna came home pretending everything was fine. She saw David and Luke on the porch with their carved pumpkins. She smiled and made small talk. Then she casually walked inside. But as she passed Luke's room, she noticed David's phone sitting on the desk. This was her chance. Anna turned on loud music in her room to cover any noise. Then she snuck into Luke's room, grabbed the phone, and quickly photographed the call history. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Suddenly the phone rang. Anna's heart nearly exploded. Panic flooded her body. She couldn't answer it. Couldn't let David know she had it. So she tossed the phone onto the bed in David's room and sprinted back to her own room. She prayed David didn't hear anything. But David heard the phone. He was still outside with Luke when it rang. He knew exactly where he left it. And it wasn't in his room. His expression changed instantly. The friendly mask vanished. His eyes turned cold and calculating. He walked inside slowly, deliberately. He went to his room and picked up the phone. Then he stood in the hallway outside Anna's room. He didn't knock. He just listened. All he could hear was loud music. He stayed there for a full minute, staring at her door like a predator studying prey. Anna stood on the other side, holding her breath, terrified he'd kick the door down, but he didn't. After what felt like forever, David walked away. Later that night, Anna got another call from Zeke. This one was worse. He said he'd been arrested. Police found the gun used to kill Craig and his partner. It was in Zeke's van. Zeke swore he didn't do it. He said someone planted it, but police also searched his room and found drugs, enough to add trafficking charges. Zeke was crying. He said his life was over. Anna wanted to scream. She knew exactly who planted that gun, but she had no proof. Just suspicion. Just fear. She went downstairs and told her family what the military said about David being dead. Spencer immediately got defensive. He said Anna was being paranoid. He said the reason why Zeke was arrested was that he probably killed Craig, and Anna was looking for someone to blame. As the fight grew intense, Anna revealed what she found about David from military, that David was impersonating someone else. Nevertheless, David justified her explanations calmly. He explained that he was part of a special operations unit, the kind the military doesn't acknowledge publicly. He said when civilians call asking about soldiers from Black Ops programs, they're given cover stories. Standard procedure. To prove his identity, he pulled out his military name tags and handed them to Spencer. Spencer turned to Anna and demanded she apologize. She yelled at her father and stormed upstairs. David stayed, continuing to explain the misunderstanding to Spencer and Laura. A few minutes later, Anna was sitting on her bed when her door opened. David was standing in the doorway. Her entire body froze. He was going to kill her. She was sure of it. But David didn't attack. He said he was sorry about Craig. Said it must be hard losing a friend. His voice was soft and kind. He told Anna he'd be leaving in a few days. He didn't want to cause any more problems for the family. Then he stared at her without blinking until she agreed that was probably for the best. As he turned to leave, he noticed the mix CD she made for him sitting on her desk. His face brightened like someone flipped a switch. He picked it up and thanked her. Said he couldn't wait to listen to it and left. Meanwhile, Richard headed to the airport and assembled a team to capture David. Anna looked at the photos she took of the call history. One number appeared multiple times. She ran a reverse directory search on her laptop. The number belonged to Peter Bodington, a plastic surgeon in Miami whose medical license was revoked 2 years ago for malpractice. The next day, she asked Luke to help her dig deeper. It sounded ridiculous that David was not real. Luke was reluctant at first, but he later agreed to help her. Luke got into another fight at school. The bullies came after him again. But this time, Luke didn't back down. He punched the main bully square in the face. Both Luke and the bully were dragged to the principal's office. Laura got the call and showed up with David. The principal explained the school's zero-tolerance policy on violence. He said both boys would be expelled. Laura started to protest, but the principal cut her off. Rules were rules. David pointed out that Luke had been targeted for weeks. He blackmailed the principal into reducing the weight of Luke's punishment from expulsion to 1-month suspension. On the way home, Luke felt guilty. He told David that Anna was building a case against him, that she thought he killed Craig. At first, David pretended to shrug it off. Then Luke said something that revealed he knew more than he should. He mentioned the plastic surgeon. He said Anna figured out David wasn't really David Collins. For a brief moment, something dangerous flashed in David's eyes. Nevertheless, Luke promised not to tell anybody, and that he would ensure Anna did not do anything stupid. David also found out that Anna had told Kristen about it. Later that day, David helped Laura with laundry. She thanked him for everything he'd done for the family. She said having him around made the grief more bearable. David nodded politely, but looked uncomfortable. He excused himself to get the rest of the laundry from upstairs. That's when everything exploded. Richard Carver and his team arrived at the Peterson house in 3 black SUVs. They moved fast and quiet. Before Richard could explain why they were there, David appeared with a laundry basket. Richard reached for his weapon. David dropped the basket and pulled a gun from his waistband. The house erupted in gunfire. Bullets ripped through walls. Glass shattered. David got injured and limped toward the kitchen, hiding from the military men. Laura was there, frozen in shock. She asked who he really was. David's face softened for just a second. He told her he and Caleb were in the same program. He'd been hiding a kitchen knife behind his back. For a moment, he didn't want to kill her. However, she yelled that David was in the kitchen. She backed against the counter with nowhere to go. David stepped forward and drove the blade into her chest. By then, Richard was the only operative left alive. He'd taken cover behind an overturned table. Driving away, he ran into Spencer and immediately ends him, apologizing thereafter. He continued his mission to find and kill all his enemies. Richard managed to slip out a side door. He ran to the driveway, but his tires were shot out. He flagged down a passing car and practically dragged the driver out. He needed to find Anna before David did. David arrived at the diner, looking for Anna. As he did not find her, frustrated, he shot Anna in the chest and then blew up the diner. Richard drove fast toward Luke's school while explaining everything to Anna. He told her David was part of a top-secret military program, an experimental behavioral conditioning project designed to create perfect soldiers. At the school's recreation center, Luke was serving his detention. Luke was hanging decorations when his phone rang, but before he could answer, his teacher confiscated the phone. No phones during detention. Anna and Richard rushed into the school, but David was already waiting. David cut off the power supply. He then started playing Anna's mix CD. Amid the chaos, he killed Luke's teacher first, the one who confiscated the phone. Luke refused to believe David was evil. She told him that David killed their mother and father. After ensuring Luke was safe, Anna left the closet and went looking for David herself. David stalked through the building calling for Luke. Luke heard David's voice getting closer. He held his breath in the storage closet. But just as he was about to find Luke, He got distracted by a noise coming from elsewhere. He followed a blood trail to a dead end. When he turned back, he saw Anna pointing a gun at him, ready to avenge the death of her parents. She fired the gun at him. Assuming she had killed him, she walked closer, only to be stabbed in the leg by David. He pulled her to the ground and began to strangle her. He attempted to shoot him, but she never hit the target. Suddenly, in an act of courage, Luke appeared and stabbed him in the neck with the Swiss Army knife he gave him. Wounded, David told Luke that he did the right thing. He gave a thumbs up and gave up the ghost. Luke avenged his family using David's own weapon. If this hit you in the feels, hit the like button. And for more stories with shocking twists and epic justice, subscribe right now. Later, Anna and David, now orphans, sat in an ambulance, recovering from the terror. If you made it here, then it is a sign that you are destined for this. Subscribe to the channel now so that you won't be the only one missing out on other interesting stories like this. Thanks for watching.